Germany, the country of rules. And there's a few things you absolutely should not do. And one of them is don't expect to pee for free. I know it sounds funny. Free public restrooms are not that common. And you know, there is restrooms in train stations, bus stations, shopping malls, but usually they cost 50 cents or more. Don't expect to pee for free in Germany. That's a 4 out of 10 on our don't-to-meter scale, and it's gonna get so much crazier. The last ones are really big no-nos. Now, of course, there's exceptions to everything. So, of course, also to these don'ts. So if you disagree with one of them, let us know in the comments below. The next thing you shouldn't do in Germany is don't expect great service. Generally speaking, customer service is not that friendly or warm, especially if you compare it to other countries, for example, the States. Now this holds for, restaurants, retail shops, and yes, unfortunately, also official places, like for example, banks. The next time you go into a restaurant and they don't acknowledge your smile, it's not you. It's just the way it is. Now, on a side note here, tipping is still expected. Don't expect great customer service in Germany. Also a 4 out of 10. Next thing is don't visit Germans spontaneously. Like what I mean is don't show up at their door unannounced, because Germans on average like to be, prepared internally and externally. They want to have a good feeling, that everything is taken care of, that they have enough, coffee and cake in the kitchen, and also that the apartment is tidied up. That's a 4.5 out of 10. And we're just getting started. Now don't be surprised if you see naked people in Germany. Ironically, for a country that hates small talk and being loud on public transport, Germans are weirdly down with being nude. Like, for example, there is this park in Munich. I was this weekend, I was sitting down, and then, 50 meters in front of me, there was this guy popping up and he was completely naked. And I forgot, oh yeah, I'm sitting down in the naked area. It's called FKK here. And also many saunas have, this rule where nudity is not only expected, but mandatory. So for example, there might be signs saying swimwear not allowed. That's a 5 out of 10 on our don't-to-meter. Next is don't call late at night. Germans like to be efficient, and on average, I would say Germans don't stay up as late as, maybe other countries like, for example, the Spanish or the Italians. And calls after 8 p.m. are considered a disruption in Germany. People, might be sitting in front of the TV, they have their evening routine, and they might be disturbed of that. So it's generally considered rude if you call after 8 p.m. You can still text them or WhatsApp them or Facebook them, that's fine, but calling, that's considered rude. 5.5 out of 10. Don't expect the water to be free. And this might be a shock for many North Americans who come to the country, but yeah, water is not free in the restaurants. Like serving tap water, that concept doesn't exist. So if you ask for tap water, they probably will just shake their head and say we don't serve that, because yeah, you will have to pay for your water. That's a 5.5 out of 10, because water is not free. Don't be loud, because there is such thing as quiet hours. It is from 10 p.m. till 6 a.m. in the morning, and even some regions have it after lunch for an hour. So if you decide you mow your lawn or be really loud on a Sundays or during these quiet hours, don't be surprised that the neighbors will complain. Germans don't mess around when it comes to their quiet hours. That's a 6 out of 10. Don't do small talk. I know there is countries where this is very common. Howdy. They just don't understand it. They will look at you weird, be like, why is this person coming, all up close in my personal space and asking me these very personal questions or these very unimportant questions about how the weather is and stuff. It's not very common here. Don't expect them to understand small talk. Don't do it. 7 out of 10. Don't forget cash. Cards are not accepted everywhere here. There are some shops where it says only cash. And even if they take cards, sometimes you need a minimum amount that you need to spend in order to use your card. Oftentimes it's 10 euros. So you could be standing there, with your chewing gum, and it'll be like, okay, I still need, 9 more euros so I can get my chewing gum. And you're just kind of like, okay, I get the Snickers, I get this, just in order so you can use your card. Don't forget cash. That's a 7 out of 10. Now, when you're invited to someone's home, don't wear your shoes inside, because people here take off the shoes the second they step into the house. And sometimes the host even has slippers prepared for you. For example, a Birkenstock, we call them house shoes. And yeah, guess what I'm wearing right now. House shoes in Germany, because you don't wear your shoes inside. That's a 7.5 out of 10. Don't forget to recycle in Germany, because there are strict rules to that. And you know, if Germans see you doing it wrong, they will probably stare at you and be like, why is he not doing it correctly? And you don't want that. Also, on a side note, you know, you get money back for certain bottles. For example, beer bottles and plastic bottles. And for example, for the plastic bottles, there's these little machines in the supermarket where you can just, you know, throw it in and you'll get money back. Don't forget that. 7.5 out of 10. Don't get offended, because Germans are direct, you know. If you ask them, you will get an honest answer. You know, there's no back and forth. And this might be irritating for a lot of people at first, but you will see, you will appreciate it, because you know where you stand at. Don't get offended. There's no beating around the bush in Germany. 8 out of 10. Another big thing not to do in Germany is don't jaywalk. Like oftentimes, you know, I see people just waiting at the light is red, there is no cars around, there's nothing, maybe it's in the middle of the night, but they're still waiting for the light to turn green. And especially don't jaywalk when there's kids around with their parents, because parents would get angry, you know, for you setting a bad example, which, okay. Fair enough. I'm telling you, you don't want to get yelled at by German parents. It's terrifying. That's a 8.5 out of 10. If I haven't terrified you so far, then a click on that subscribe button would be terrifying. Don't walk in the bike lane. Like really, watch out for the signs. And if you want to go biking, you know, and you stick to the rules, biking is a lot of fun in Germany. But when you're on foot, be careful, because you know, you might think, oh, there's some space on the bike lane. You will for sure get yelled at by a German biker. 9 out of 10. And while we're talking about bike lanes, if you decide to ride a bike, don't use the bike lane in the wrong way. And this is what I mean. Bike on the right side, like the same directions the cars are going. And if there's no bike lane, you know, you bike on the road, not on the pedestrian walk, and also on the right side. And if you disobey this, you will have to pay a hefty fine if the police catches you. And believe me, you don't want to pay this hefty fine. I speak from experience. Also a 9 out of 10 on our don't do meter. And our number one, a sure way to piss off every German, don't be late. Like Germans are crazy punctual, and we all heard this stereotype, and it is true. Like there's no buffer time of like, oh, I'm on my way, sorry, traffic is so bad. No, Germans will be on time. Actually, no, they won't be on time. They will be 5 to 10 minutes early. Don't be late, don't disappoint the Germans. That's a 10 out of 10. And in order for you not to be disappointed, hey, check out our video where we rank German foods from worst to best. And the first ones are crazy delicious.